Wait, you could literally get arrested for dancing in Germany right now. No, I'm not kidding. You're in Munich, it's a beautiful Friday evening, and you decide to hit up your favorite club. The music's pumping, everyone's having a great time, and then suddenly boom. The police show up. Not because of noise complaints, not because of a fight, but because you were dancing on the wrong day. Welcome to the bizarre world of Germany's Tanzverbot, literally translated as dancing prohibition. And before you think this is some medieval relic gathering dust in forgotten law books, let me blow your mind. This is happening right now, in 2025, in one of the world's most progressive countries. So what exactly is this Tanzverbot? Well, it's a collection of laws across German states that prohibit public dancing, music events, and sometimes even sporting events on what are called silent days or stillen Tagen. We're talking about Good Friday, All Saints' Day, certain Sundays during Lent, and other Christian holidays. During these periods, clubs must close, concerts get cancelled, and yes, technically, you could face legal consequences for dancing in public. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. The enforcement isn't just theoretical. In 2016, a club owner in Frankfurt was fined €320 for hosting a dance event on Good Friday. In Baden-Württemberg, authorities regularly conduct checks during silent days to ensure compliance. We're not talking about some dusty law that nobody remembers. This is actively enforced in the 21st century. Now, to understand how we got here, we need to dive deep into German history. The Tanzverbot isn't some random modern invention, it's rooted in centuries of Christian tradition and the complex relationship between church and state in German-speaking regions. The concept of silent days dates back to medieval times when the Catholic Church designated certain days as periods of mourning, reflection, and penance. Good Friday, commemorating the crucifixion of Jesus, was considered so sacred that any form of celebration or merriment was seen as deeply disrespectful. This wasn't unique to Germany, similar restrictions existed across Christian Europe. But here's what makes Germany unique. While most European countries gradually abandoned these restrictions as societies became more secular, Germany actually codified them into modern law. The current Tanzverbot laws were largely established in the post-World War Roman II period, written into state constitutions and legal frameworks, as Germany rebuilt itself. Think about the incredible irony here. Germany gave us some of the world's most revolutionary music, from Bach to Beethoven to Kraftwerk to techno music itself. Berlin is literally considered the global capital of electronic dance music. The Love Parade was one of the world's largest music festivals. Yet on certain days, the very act of dancing to that music becomes illegal. The legal framework varies dramatically between German states, creating a patchwork of bizarre contradictions. In Bavaria, one of the most Catholic states, the restrictions are particularly strict, covering not just dancing, but also loud music, sporting events, and even some forms of theater. Good Friday in Bavaria feels like the entire state goes into hibernation. Meanwhile, in more liberal states like Berlin, the laws exist, but enforcement is, let's say, more relaxed. Berliners have found creative workarounds: private parties that technically aren't public dancing, underground events, or simply moving the party to neighboring Brandenburg, where different rules apply. But not everyone's dancing to the tune of tradition. Enter the opposition movement, and this is where things get really interesting. A group called Tanzverbot aufheben abolish the dancing ban has been fighting these laws for years. Their argument? In an increasingly secular, multicultural Germany, why should Christian religious observances dictate what non-Christians can do with their bodies and their time? Their protests are masterpieces of civil disobedience. Picture this: every Good Friday, groups of protesters gather in public squares across Germany and dance. Silent, peaceful dancing. No music, no noise, just people moving their bodies in rhythm to songs only they can hear. It's simultaneously beautiful and absurd. The protests raise profound questions about religious freedom versus personal liberty. If Germany guarantees freedom of religion, does that include freedom from religion? Should the religious observances of one group limit the personal freedoms of another? The controversy deepened in 2016 when Germany experienced its largest influx of refugees in decades. Suddenly, the Tanzverbot became a symbol of a much larger debate about integration, cultural identity, and what it means to be German in the modern world. Critics argue that enforcing Christian-based restrictions on an increasingly diverse population sends a troubling message about whose culture matters. Supporters counter that these traditions are part of German identity and shouldn't be abandoned simply because society is changing. The economic implications are staggering. The German club and entertainment industry loses millions of euros annually due to Tanzverbot restrictions. Easter weekend, which should be a peak earning period for the hospitality industry, becomes a dead zone. Small club owners, many already struggling with rising rents and changing music consumption habits, face additional financial pressure from mandatory closures. But let's dig deeper into what this really represents, because the Tanzverbot touches on something much more fundamental than just dancing laws. At its core, this is about the tension between tradition and progress, between collective memory and individual freedom, between the sacred and the secular. Germany, more than perhaps any other country, understands the weight of history. This is a nation that has grappled intensely with questions of collective responsibility, cultural identity, and the proper role of tradition in modern society. The Tanzverbot represents a fascinating case study in how societies balance competing values. On one hand, there's genuine respect for religious tradition and the recognition that some things, grief, reflection, sacred observance, deserve protected space in our culture. On the other hand, there's the principle that in a free society, the government shouldn't dictate how people use their bodies or their time based on religious beliefs they may not share. What makes this even more intriguing is how uniquely German this phenomenon has become. Austria has similar laws but enforces them much less strictly. Switzerland has regional variations but generally more liberal approaches. Even deeply Catholic countries like Italy or Poland don't maintain such comprehensive dancing restrictions. This suggests that the Tanzverbot isn't really about Christianity per se, it's about something specifically German. Perhaps it reflects the German cultural tendency toward order, regulation, and clearly defined social boundaries. Or maybe it represents the particular way German society has chosen to navigate the relationship between secular governance and religious heritage. So where does this leave us? The debate over Tanzverbot is intensifying, not diminishing. Younger Germans, particularly in urban areas, increasingly view these laws as anachronistic. A 2019 survey found that 67% of Germans under 30 support abolishing the dancing ban entirely. Political parties are taking notice. The Free Democratic Party (FDP) has made abolishing Tanzverbot part of their platform. Even some Christian Democratic Union (CDU) politicians have suggested that the laws need modernization. But change is slow. Each German state would need to modify its own laws, and in states with strong Catholic or Protestant traditions, there's significant resistance. The compromise solutions being proposed are fascinating. Some suggest reducing the number of restricted days, others propose allowing dancing after certain hours, and still others recommend exemptions for private events. What strikes me most about the Tanzverbot controversy is how it illuminates the broader challenges facing modern democratic societies. How do we balance respect for tradition with individual liberty? How do we honor our cultural heritage while embracing diversity? How do we navigate the complex relationship between religious values and secular governance? Germany's dancing ban might seem absurd to outsiders, but it represents a society genuinely grappling with these questions rather than simply ignoring them. The ongoing debate shows a democracy working through difficult issues, even when perhaps, especially when those issues involve something as seemingly simple as the right to move your body to music. Think about your own country, your own community. What traditions do you maintain that might seem strange to outsiders? What laws exist that reflect historical values rather than contemporary consensus? Where do you draw the line between respecting the past and embracing the future? The Tanzverbot forces us to confront these questions in the most literal way possible, through our bodies, through movement, through the fundamental human impulse to dance. In a world where so many conflicts seem abstract or distant, there's something refreshingly concrete about a law that simply says, "Today, you cannot dance." Whether that's beautiful or absurd, well, that might depend on whether you're doing the dancing. So next time you're dancing freely wherever you are in the world, take a moment to appreciate that simple liberty, because somewhere in Germany, on certain days of the year, that freedom doesn't exist. And the question of whether it should tells us everything we need to know about the ongoing dance between tradition and progress in the modern world. What do you think? Should religious traditions influence secular law? Or is the right to dance too fundamental to restrict? Let me know in the comments below.